So I think that we can all agree that there's a lot of buzz around Dr. Mcdougall's maximum weight loss version program. But what about the original version of the Starch Solution? So what's the difference anyways? And which one is better for your weight loss goals? I feel like this is going to be a much needed conversation, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Stasia, and if this is your first time here, then welcome. And if it's not your first time here, then welcome back. I am following a high-carb, low-fat, plant-based diet, oil-free, based on the recommendations of Dr. John Mcdougall's book called The Starch Solution. My channel is all about my own personal health and weight loss journey eating this way, as well as helping you with yours. So be sure to check out all of my What I Eat in a Day videos. I have lots of recipes, and I'm pretty confident you will find something that you like. Also, I run a Facebook group that is amazing if you're new to this way of eating and you're looking for some more guidance or support. There's tons of questions going on there, tons of discussion. We talk about our struggles, about our successes. So if you'd like to join that group, then I will leave the link in the description box below. So be sure to check that out. We have all stumbled upon this Starch Solution in one way or another, whether that's here on YouTube or maybe you had a friend who had some success with it. If you'd like to find out why I chose this for my personal health and weight loss journey, I will leave a link in the description box below where I share my story about how I healed my body and how I lost 65 pounds in the process, eating a whole foods diet. So I definitely know the power in food, and I'm definitely a believer in this way of eating. So be sure to check that out if you'd like to get to know me a little bit more. And if you are new here, then I would love for you to jump on board with our whole food plant-based family. So be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. All right, guys, so let's get into this. What is the difference between maximum weight loss version and the original Starch Solution plan? I must say that I have seen so much confusion over this that I thought it was worth doing a video to help clear some things up. I think in fairness, there might be some good reasons for all the confusion. For one, there's a lot of new people to this way of eating. So for example, if they landed on a video that's talking just about the maximum weight loss version or the 50-50 plate, they might assume that that's the one and only way to the Starch Solution. Another reason might be that people just haven't read the book. So yeah, strong suggestion, read the book. And lastly, there's different guidelines depending on if you're following the maximum weight loss version or the original Starch Solution version. So that is the purpose of today's video. I would like to clear some of these things up straight from the book from Dr. Mcdougall himself so that there is simply no more confusion. So I'm going to start this by explaining each of the programs and comparing the differences, and then I'm going to end it by giving my personal take on both. All right, so maximum weight loss version. I decided to start with this one because this is the most popular one that most of us hear about, and a lot of people are following this. Okay, so what is it? Well, from Dr. Mcdougall's mouth himself, or words, it says right here in the book that this is the restricted version of the Starch Solution. So this is where you will see the 50-50 plate, where you do half non-starchy vegetables and half starchy vegetables. So an example of that would be maybe potatoes on one side for your starch and broccoli on the other side for your non-starchy vegetable. Something else I wanted to clear up about this, vegetables with breakfast is not actually written anywhere in the Starch Solution book. It's a strategy used to bulk up your non-starchy vegetables to feel fuller longer with lower calorie density foods. It's a wonderful strategy and it works, but it's not actually anywhere in the Starch Solution book. This is not a teaching of Dr. Mcdougall per se. So if you want to have just a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast and forget the vegetables, that is following the Starch Solution plan. So you're not doing anything wrong by not having vegetables with your breakfast. That is a huge misconception. I actually did a video on it a long time ago when I first discovered that and was a little bit shocked because I was also confused thinking that I had to have vegetables with breakfast. So no, that's not actually part of the Starch Solution. However, it is a great strategy if you want to bulk up your breakfast with lower calorie density foods. Okay, so moving on. So with the maximum weight loss version, he recommends keeping your fruits to only 1 to 2 fruits a day. He recommends eliminating all simple sugars, which includes your dried fruits, as well as any type of fruit juices. He also recommends eliminating all of your breads, your pasta, and recommends avoiding all high-fat plant-based foods such as avocados, nuts, seeds, olives, and soy-based foods. Okay, lastly, he recommends eating many small meals a day versus 1 or 2 large ones. He also recommends keeping your meals very, very simple eating this way, such as a meal like sweet potatoes and broccoli. The more variety you have, then the more food you may consume. So that is the maximum weight loss version straight from the book, what Dr. Mcdougall recommends. Okay, so now I want to jump into the original version of the Starch Solution plan, and that's actually the one that I'm following. So for those of you who have been following me for quite some time, you might recall in my first video ever, me saying that I was following the maximum weight loss version. Now, as cringeworthy as that first video is for me, I will still post the link in my description box below if you'd like to check that out. A little later down the road, I realized that I think I was a little too ambitious jumping into the maximum weight loss version. For me, that was the one that I saw the most. And so, I mean, even the title itself is more appealing, maximum weight loss, right? So it just appealed to me more and I thought, yes, I can do this. I was feeling so motivated. I wasn't really quite sure what I was committing to until I got into it. And then I kind of realized that it was a little too much for where I was at that point. So that's when I really jumped into the original version of the Starch Solution, and I realized that that one was a much better fit for me. Now, I'm still a little unsure if people are aware that I'm following the original version and not the maximum weight loss version, because there have been some comments where people question what it is that I'm eating. I had someone recently point out that it wasn't so much the Starch Solution because I had walnuts and tofu, but we're about to jump into that part soon. And for those of you who know me and follow my channel, I try to be really transparent with you guys. And this is just my journey. This is just what I'm eating. And I always try to stress that on my channel, all of my recipes, there's no hard rules. I don't know how many times I say that. So if I'm making something and it doesn't fit exactly how you're eating, for example, if you are following the maximum weight loss version, it's really no problem. It's really simple just to swap out certain foods or just to leave them out altogether. So it's not really that big of a deal. We all have to figure out what works for us, and I'm no exception to that rule. I just happen to be on YouTube documenting it, but I'm still just a normal person, still trying to figure this out, still trying to, get it down pat to the point that it's completely natural and a sustainable way of eating for the rest of my life. But with that being said, I want to jump into the rules of the original Starch Solution version, so some of my meals might make a little bit more sense. Okay, so with the original Starch Solution version, Dr. Mcdougall says that the bulk of your calories should be coming from starch. He has even said that it should be as much as 70 to 90% starch on your plate. And in fact, this is the plan that he promotes the most to this very day. If any of you follow Dr. Mcdougall or listen to any of his most recent interviews, it's very rare, if ever, that you hear him talk about following the maximum weight loss version. He is a strong advocate for eating as much starch as you want and still being able to lose weight. Right here in the book, number 1, it says eat more starch. Eat as much starch as you like, don't go hungry. He also says you can eat once a day or 14 times a day. Eat when you are hungry and stop when you are satisfied. If you do that, it makes no difference how often you eat. So one of the key differences with the maximum weight loss version and the original version is that there's no limit on your fruit. Right in the book, it says eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. So there are no limitations. Obviously, that still probably means to be mindful and within reason, but there are no actual limitations. Okay, so this next part, I want to read directly from the book because I think this is where there's the most confusion. Some people new to eating this way might think that this is a no-fat diet versus a low-fat diet. And the original Starch Solution, it does allow for minimal amounts of high-fat plant-based foods, unlike the maximum weight loss version. I think some people might get right freaked out if they see any amount of nuts or seeds being used following the Starch Solution and they just feel like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. When in fact, it's not wrong. It's completely allowed on the original version. So let me explain. Right in the book here, it says, there are few foods that won't spoil your success with the Starch Solution, but it will slow your progress. You might wish to consider including small quantities of these higher calorie foods in your starch-based meals. And those foods are avocados, dried fruits, flours, whole grain, white, or all-purpose, any of them, fruit and fruit juices, nuts, peanuts and peanut butter, seeds, and simple sugars such as table sugar, maple syrup, molasses, and agave. And he also says that when eating soy foods, try to skip out on the highly processed ones, but that you can enjoy minimally processed soy foods like tofu, edamame, and soy milk as infrequent additions in small quantities because they are richer than what you think. But they are allowed on the original Starch Solution version. So that's the difference between the maximum weight loss version and the original Starch Solution version. So I think some of the key highlights between both of the plans is that with the maximum weight loss version, you're probably going to see results a lot faster than the original one because you're cutting out a lot of the processed foods. You're not allowing yourself to have breads or pasta. So it's actually a gluten-free version. So if you have any gluten issues, the maximum weight loss version is perfect for that. You're going to lose faster also because you're not consuming any of the high-fat plant-based foods, such as avocados, nuts and seeds, olives, tofu. And one of the main things I love about the maximum weight loss version is that it's less processed. So you're going to be eating more natural whole foods, and you can't go wrong with that. That's always going to be the best option for our health and our weight loss goals. However, with the original version of the Starch Solution, it's a little less restrictive, which means it can equate to being a little bit more enjoyable. If you're new to eating whole food plant-based, then following the original version might be a lot easier to transition to. The last thing we want is people getting really motivated to do the maximum weight loss version and then just falling off altogether when they realize it's a little bit too challenging coming straight from the standard American diet. Or if you have a lot of weight to lose, you're not just trying to lose those last 10 pounds or so, then the Starch Solution original version is also a perfect place to start because then you have somewhere to transition to afterwards once you are at the point that you need to get that last 10 or 15 off, then transitioning over to the maximum weight loss version is perfect. There is a lot more variety with the original version if you're okay with a slower, steady weight loss. For me, this isn't a race. There is no finish line here. We all just need to find a way that we can see ourselves eating for the rest of our life. This is real life, guys, for me and for you. The whole point in doing this is so that we can learn to change some of our old unhealthy eating behaviors. And health and weight loss will never be a one-size-fits-all. What worked for one doesn't automatically guarantee it's going to work for the next. I have to even sometimes gently remind people that in my comments that even question what I'm eating or how I'm doing something. Just because you're doing something different from me, it doesn't make it any better. It doesn't make it any more right. We all have our own paths. If someone still wants to have their morning coffee or maybe a vegan yogurt in the afternoon as a snack, they shouldn't have to worry about being attacked because they weren't doing it quote unquote right. If the rest of the time they're following 80, 90% or whatever percent the Starch Solution, maybe that's where they're at in their health and weight loss journey. And I say, congrats to that. Hats off to you. Because anyone taking any step towards better health and weight loss goals, you're doing a great job. It's not about being perfect or doing what Joe is doing or Susie is doing over there. It's about what you are doing. So I'm gonna end this discussion off with saying what I've said from the beginning of my channel, and I will continue to say it again. My channel is never going to be about being 100% perfect or being militant about rules or being judgmental if somebody is not doing it quote unquote perfect. I respect everybody's process and journey, and wherever you're at in that health and weight loss journey, you are where you need to be. Kindness goes so much further than judgment, so honestly, it doesn't matter if you're following the original Starch Solution version, the maximum weight loss version, or no version at all. If you're just doing your own version of a whole food plant-based diet, we're all in this together. So let's be kind, let's support one another, and let's rock this journey. All right, guys, you already know I can talk and talk forever. So I am going to stop this here, but if you'd like to continue this conversation, let's keep it going in the comments, or be sure to join us in the Facebook group and we can keep the conversation going on over there. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and cleared up some misconceptions that are out there regarding the Starch Solution. And of course, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next one.